I spent most of my life waiting by the window, waiting for footsteps, waiting for voices that once filled this house. This house remembers me, even when the world forgot. Every creaking step of the floorboards, every gust of wind through the old curtains, whispers of memories long gone. If you enjoy our stories, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming videos. This little white house on Willow Street, it may look ordinary, but to me, it held my entire world. The smell of pine from the trees outside, the faint scent of my husband's pipe from years ago, the way the sun spilled onto the wooden floors in the morning. It all remembers me, and I am still here, listening, remembering, waiting. I remember sitting here as a young bride, as a young mother, as a widow, always at the window. The world outside moved so fast, yet my heart moved slower than the sun. I would watch the street, hoping, perhaps naively, that someone I loved would come home. I never asked for much. A knock at the door, a phone call, a small voice calling my name. And sometimes, when no one came, I talked to the shadows. I spoke to Henry. I spoke to my child. I spoke to my memories. They listened, and they kept me alive. I traced my fingers along the window pane, feeling the cool glass, feeling the passage of years. The world changed outside, but my heart stayed here, in this quiet, waiting, always waiting. I met him at a summer fair. He was wearing a crisp military uniform, and I had sewn my blue dress myself. He asked me to dance, and stepped on my toes twice. I laughed anyway. That was Henry, my love, my anchor. We married young, full of hope and dreams. Every night, we talked about the life we'd build, the house, the garden, a child to call our own. Those nights were filled with laughter and whispered promises. I still remember the warmth of his hand, the softness of his voice, and how it made the world feel safe. Sometimes I close my eyes and go back to those fairgrounds. The music, the lights, the laughter, and I am young again, holding his hand, feeling the whole world is ours. And then, one winter evening, the world changed forever. The factory called. Not his voice, not even a familiar one, just a man clearing his throat, speaking carefully, as if words themselves were dangerous. They said there had been an accident. A machine that should have stopped didn't. A belt snapped. Steel screamed. Men shouted his name. They told me there was steam, heat, noise so loud it swallowed every prayer. Henry was standing where he always stood, doing his job, thinking of coming home. They said he never had time to be afraid. I hold on to that. I remember sitting in the dark afterward, the phone still in my hand. It rang again and again, but not for me. I kept listening, foolishly hoping his voice would break through the silence and say it was all a mistake. But Henry never answered. I do not blame fate. I do not blame the factory. I do not blame the men who worked beside him, but the emptiness that followed. It settled into my bones. From that night on, the chair across the table stayed empty. His coat still hung by the door. The air felt colder, even in summer, and the nights grew unbearably long. I spoke to him in whispers, because speaking out loud hurt too much. I told him how the house sounded without his footsteps. I told him what I cooked, what I fixed, what I pretended not to miss. I told him about the life he would never see, the small victories, the quiet sorrows, the years that kept moving without him. And in those whispers, spoken to a man taken by noise and steel and sudden silence, I found a fragile kind of peace, not healing. I stayed in this house. I raised our child alone. I sewed, I cleaned, I cooked, I lived. Every corner whispered memories of him. Every day was a battle with grief, but also a lesson in patience. Sometimes I sat at the dining table, hands clasped, staring at the empty chair, imagining Henry across from me. I told him about our child, about little victories, moments of joy, small heartbreaks. He was gone, but his presence lingered everywhere. People told me to move on, to remarry, to forget. But how do you forget someone who taught your heart how to love? I never forgot, and I never will. I worked with my hands, sewing for neighbors, for friends, for life itself. My hands moved with purpose. Each stitch, each fold. It was a small proof that I could endure, that I could live. Night fell often. I worked by lamplight. Shadows danced on the walls. The quiet became my companion, and in that quiet, I found strength I never knew I had. I told stories to the fabric, stitched memories into every hem. It kept me alive and gave me hope. And then you came into my life, my little joy. I waited for you, just as I waited for Henry, but with hope and laughter. I remember summer mornings, your tiny hands in mine, your laughter filling every corner of this house. I cooked your favorite meals. I cut apples into perfect slices. I memorized every smile, every giggle, every story you told. You brought light into my quiet world. For a few precious hours, the house was alive again. I could almost hear Henry's laughter in the wind, and for that brief time, I felt complete. But some nights, the weight of time, of waiting, of missing, it became unbearable. I cried softly into my pillow. Moonlight spilled across the bed. The walls held my sorrow. I cried not to be heard, but to remember that I was still alive, still capable of feeling. And in those tears, I whispered memories to the night, hoping someone, somewhere, would listen. I sometimes spoke to the stars, believing they carried my words to him, to Henry, to the past I could never reclaim. I waited for a call. Sometimes it was a letter, sometimes the ring of the old landline. I would sit by the phone, hands folded, heart full of hope, whispering to myself that someone would remember me. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Your father grew busy. You grew busy. Life carried you away from me. And still, I would sit there, staring at that little phone, imagining it ringing, imagining a voice saying, "I thought of you today." Even in the silence, I learned patience. Even in the absence of words, I learned love could endure. Waiting became a ritual, a way of holding on. Do you remember that summer? You came running up the porch steps, arms wide open. I hugged you so tightly, as if I could keep you close forever. I memorized your every feature, your smile, your eyes, the little way you laughed when I told the story. That day, I felt what I had waited my whole life for, not wealth, not comfort, not recognition, but connection, love, and warmth. I whispered a silent prayer, hoping you would never forget this moment, hoping you would carry a piece of me with you. Even when I was gone, I held your hands, I traced your hair, I laughed with you, and for a brief while, the house became alive again. It remembered us, and I remembered you. Before I grew too frail, I made a small wooden box. Inside, I placed letters I wrote but could never send. Words that carried my heart, my fears, my memories, my love. I wanted you to have them when I was gone, so that you would know, even when I am not beside you, I am still here in these pages. I am still watching, still caring, still loving. I hope that each letter would teach you what I learned slowly, that love waits quietly, that patience is sacred, and that memories, when treasured, are more powerful than presents. One night, it happened. I was no longer there. The silence became complete, and the world moved on. I hope that when you first heard the news, your heart felt the emptiness I had carried all my life. But remember, absence does not erase love. I am still here in the memories, in the shadows, in the soft whisper of the wind through the trees. I never left. I never really leave. When the house feels cold, or the chair seems empty, remember, I am still here, holding you in spirit, loving you quietly, as I always have. Asterisk. The house was empty. The rooms held echoes of laughter and whispers of my voice. Every corner remembered, the wooden floors, the worn curtains, the fading wallpaper, that all remembered the life lived within them. I imagine you walking through these halls, tracing my footsteps, touching the furniture I loved. And though I am gone, you will find me in these small details: the scent of pine, the sunlight on the floor, the quiet ticking of the old clock. This house remembers me, and in remembering, it keeps me alive for you. When you open the little wooden box, you will find my heart in ink and paper. Each letter carries a piece of my soul, a word for every tear I shed, a line for every smile I had, a memory for every moment I cherished. Read them slowly, feel them, let them guide you, comfort you, teach you about love that waits quietly. Know that even when I could not speak aloud, I was thinking of you, praying for you, loving you endlessly. These letters are my legacy, my love, my whisper across time, hoping you will carry a part of me always, even if the world forgets. This house remembers me. The windows, the floors, the old wooden door, they remember laughter, sorrow, joy, love, and hope. And I remember you. Every detail, every smile, every story we shared. I will always remember you. And if you close your eyes, perhaps you can hear my voice in the wind, in the sunlight, in the quiet corners of this house. I waited my whole life not for wealth, not for comfort, but for love. And now, even in absence, love remains. Love waits quietly. Love endures. Love remembers. I am here in every memory, in every silence, and I will always be here. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Grandma Life Tales. Share your thoughts, memories, or questions in the comments. Your voice truly matters here.